So now that we've had a bit of insight into the devolution of Gabriel Al-Romani, we're going to do a full audit of his online matrimonial service under the brand of 𝗡𝗜𝗞𝗞𝗔𝗠. This is a very, very, very harmful tool and platform in the Muslim community. And I'm going to basically do an audit, a full audit, to demonstrate the level of deception and harm that Gabriel Romani is creating for the Muslim community to his own financial benefits. It is always financially beneficial for people such as these to create content that will feed the funnel and help them line their pockets. So we're going to go through that today, and I'm going to show you exactly what the problem is with this sort of narrative and where it ends eventually. If you are not aware, the Humanity Forum is effectively a monitoring platform. We operate voluntarily. We have a policy, a structure, and a Shura committee. We also have a wider community in our Telegram channel where we monitor, observe, and also take action where necessary against harmful content creators and narratives online. This audit is part of the audit series where we look into very harmful online Muslim content creators who are targeting other Muslims and creating a lot of harm. So this is going to be a practical explanation, but also demonstration of what we do voluntarily, inshallah. The first thing is, if we go onto the website, 𝗡𝗜𝗞𝗞𝗔𝗠, this website has caught the attention of mainstream media. It has been featured on various UK publications and also internationally across the world, as far as Australia, the Americas, in continental Europe. This app or this platform has been covered in a very negative light, and it should be, because it's a very harmful platform and concept. This is the brainchild of Gabriel Romani and Dr. Asif Monaf. It's a brainchild of these two men. There is actually a long and lengthy detailed explanation about this platform and its harms in episode 8 of our community podcast. The link will be in the description box below. However, today I'm going to go through the actual website and demonstrate in real time the deceptive practices and the many red flags and dangers inherent on this platform. It's very important that we get to see it in real time. We have investigated this as part of our committee, exercise, and we have reached out to various people who have been featured on this website as potential collaborators. So the first thing to keep in mind here is virginity and polygyny marriages. So virginity is the lead magnet when it comes to this specific matrimonial service. The unique selling point is the supposed guarantee or promise to find you a virgin bride or a woman willing to enter into polygyny. Virginity is a lead, okay, is a sales lead here. And this makes it a very unique selling point because, as far as I know, there aren't any other online Muslim matrimonial apps or platforms that place emphasis on virginity or offer virginity as a priority for their client base. So this is where he begins his sales pitch. And again, as we have seen in the previous video, he spoke out against men who emphasize virginity and who look for that as a priority and overlook women who are perhaps divorcees, widows, single mothers. He has completely turned his narrative around, and now he is a virginity specialist, essentially.
They talk a big talk. Yeah, we want to get married. Even with polygyny, yeah, we'll take polygyny. So your first wife has to be a virgin, your second wife virgin, your third wife a virgin, and your fourth wife like a super virgin, you know? And all of them have to be like 21 and the most beautiful in the world. And this mentality is a problem, and sadly, it is a problem with certain cultures within the Muslim Ummah. And subhanallah, a lot of times the guys that come to me and say, I want to get married, and if you see their criteria, it's like, should be like blonde, and she should be like 21, and she should be like this and like that. And sorry, I am so sorry, but you look at the brother and you're like, but where are you, man? Like, the brother is like, Ya Allah, may Allah bless him, he's, inshallah, they're good brothers. But, Ya Allah, the confidence that they have, man. And sadly, nothing to back it up. The way they look, the way they take care of themselves, nothing. but they want prime thing, you know, top quality, but they're never gonna provide top quality. This is sad.
Okay. This is a definitive nikah service for those rare Muslims who will still value a shy, untouched spouse. Okay. And those who support polygyny as the Islamic answer to enable marriage for all. Revert and non-conventional nikah are welcome to. Non-conventional nikah is very important to highlight. What does it mean? And we're going to, again, we will go into that exactly to explain what does it mean non-conventional nikah. It's a very new term, you know. What does it mean non-conventional nikah? What is he promising here? So before we get into any of that, actually, there is a very important thing to take note of here. Nikahgram is entirely run and monitored and managed on Instagram and Telegram. This is where we get the suffix gram, nikahgram. Instagram and Telegram. It is not an app. It's not professional enough to be an app. It's literally just a group on Instagram and Telegram by which he's able to generate income for himself. So they promise here that they will find you, you know, spouses, and it's 100% halal. It's free for virgins and for those open to polygyny. We're going to go through each and every part of this to explain and analyze what this means. Before we do that, however, we need to find out who's behind this operation. So if you go into the teams, this is recorded on the 18th of January 2026. That's important to keep in mind because this section of his website has actually changed tremendously over the last 3 days. Over the last 3 days, as a direct result of the Humanity Forum doing research and advocacy on behalf of the Muslim community. And so we have applied pressure in the right places. And as a result of that, Gabriel Romani has updated his website twice in the last 48 hours. We will demonstrate that first and foremost by going to the Humanity Forum channel, YouTube channel. 3 days ago, we published a video on the Nikahgram, you could say, service. And this created essentially an awareness towards the dangers of this supposed marital service, but also the people behind the service. So this was something that was created and published 2 days ago. It had 3 days ago now. It has gained a lot of traction. I mean, it's only 1,500 views, but it's significant in that it has reached the right people, including Romani. So as a result of that, he has updated his website twice in the last 3 days, and I'm going to demonstrate that. So our team, who's behind this, according to the latest version, is essentially just Gabriel Romani. He's the only person on the team. There's his picture right there. And what he does is very intelligently, or very, very deceptively, I should say, is he has the picture of another sheikh. Has a picture of another sheikh, Sheikh Yusuf Susi. I believe he preaches in North America, Minnesota. This has been updated in the last 24 hours because, again, we reached out to the individuals he had mentioned here as part of his team. None of them recognize this team whatsoever and were completely unaware that they were featured on this channel. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to demonstrate to you that he has changed the website twice. Okay. The first thing to keep in mind is no matter how many times a person changes their website, we can now literally go back in time in this wonderful online application, the Wayback Machine. So you basically enter a URL here, and you can literally go back in time and see what used to be on the website. So here we can see that he's changed his website 3 times or so in 2023, a bit more. He refreshed it in 2024, in 2025, and in 2026. So we're going to look at the latest refresh to compare side by side what used to be on his team section and what is currently there today. So if we take 2026, 2025, and we're just going to go back to an earlier version of his website, and there we are. So this was what used to be on the website as of September 2025. We have 𝗡𝗜𝗞𝗞𝗔𝗠 Romani, which is what is still on the website now. However, previously he had his business partner, Dr. Asif Munaf, right here. Dr. Asif Munaf was his business partner up until 2 or 3 days ago. However, in recent times, in the last week, he has been struck off the GMC, the General Medical Register in the UK, and he has also been covered extensively across British media for his tweets and various activities as part of his other business. And
tell me, you have discovered that a suspended doctor is selling workers sick notes on demand without a consultation, and for ailments including, can't quite believe this, anxiety over a sick pet, or even just wanting to go on holiday.
Doctor, or suspended doctor, Asif Munaf, that he was running a company called Dr. Sick Limited that was giving out these sick notes. And that obviously, raises a few questions, because he's suspended. He shouldn't really be practicing as a doctor. He definitely shouldn't be. But in order to actually find out what was going on, we weren't sure who was signing the certificates.
Yeah.
We weren't sure what kind of ailments were being claimed for. Really, the only way to find out was to go undercover.
Very good. And actually, this speaks to a number of concerns when it comes to the welfare row that is still going on. We heard from Ian Duncan Smith earlier this week talking about how people were gaming the benefits system on the back of advice that they were receiving online, on social media, on TikTok, and other people recording videos. This is how you do it. If you get denied unemployment benefits or you moved off the dole, your next step is to claim sickness. This is how you do it, and all the rest of it. Now, in this case, you're actually talking about people having to get the sick note to get the time off work. Just let's be quite specific, because is this just to give to an employer, or is it actually to claim benefits on the back of it?
My understanding is it's just to give to an employer, but I actually also spoke to Helen Waitley, who is Shadow Department of Work and Pensions Secretary, and one of the concerns she raised to me is that this is sort of preliminary evidence that might then also be used in the process of applying for benefits at a later stage.
Sure. Once you've registered with a doctor, I've got an ailment.
It adds up in terms of the medical evidence.
Yes.
It could add up, was one of the concerns she raised with me when I told her about this investigation. But no, the specific immediate usage of these documents is to get up to 6 weeks off, although it transpired from our investigation that they sort of accidentally gave us 5 months off as well.
Okay, well, let's get into that in a minute, and we're going to get into how exactly you did go undercover and how you got the evidence for this story. It's worth mentioning who is at the helm of Dr. Sick. At this point, you've mentioned his name already, Asif Munaf. Now, this guy has a degree of fame or notoriety, doesn't he? Because he was once on The Apprentice.
I'm a doctor. I've handled very stressful situations. Trust me, I'm a doctor.
What did the boys spend?
Well, they spent £1,756.40, giving them a profit of £643.60.
Right, and any refunds?
They asked for a refund of 52%.
What are you doing?
We've still got £300 profit.
No, that's the overall. Why don't you just let Tim finish?
When the freelancer Chris came in with this story, I don't think he initially kind of stated sort of, well, we really knew why he'd been suspended, so I just sort of Googled his name, and the first thing that came up was the fact that Mr. Munaf had been on The Apprentice.
Let's just see how he described himself on The Apprentice.
Yes.
I've written it down. Beauty, brains, body and business is how Asif proudly describes himself on his CV, says the website. A doctor with a business plan focused on healthy vitamins and supplements, Asif may need more than the 4 Bs to win Lord Sugar's investment. Now, I'm thinking about a B to encapsulate Mr. Munaf, and it certainly isn't beauty, brains, body or business. But continue, please, Janet.
Yes, so he made quite an impact, I think, on The Apprentice, and it was during the spin-off show, and potentially actually a little bit earlier, that some of his tweets came to the attention of some of the producers at the BBC, which were very anti-Semitic. And it seems like he got training while at the BBC to sort of awareness training to help him understand why these tweets were offensive.
Right.
Seemed that didn't work, and they ultimately edited him out of the spin-off The Apprentice You're Fired show, the one that comes after the sort of main show. Was at that point that he was suspended from the medical register.
Okay.
temporarily. Yeah.
So we'll get into his anti-Semitism a little later. He's suspended from the register, but he's still calling himself doctor.
Yes.
The company is Dr. Sick Limited, which, I mean, it has its own connotations really anyway, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, that was something that was sort of picked up a bit by some of the customers on the Trustpilot reviews, which we saw before we did the kind of full investigation, is that people started to, it doesn't look awfully authentic. It sounds questionable.
Yes.
And yes, he is referring to himself as a doctor and using, sort of listing his medical credentials online on his websites, which is a problem for him actually, because there is legislation around this. If you are suspended, it is as if you're counted under the Medical Act as not a doctor.
Yes.
And if you're not a doctor, you can't pretend to be a medical doctor. Because
So he legitimately qualified in medicine?
he did, yes. He's been actually only just suspended. So there's an ongoing investigation, and during the suspension, you cannot legally practice as a doctor, and you also shouldn't be presenting yourself as a medical doctor.
Understood.
So essentially, he's been removed from the board of, you could say, directors, and he's no longer part of the website. So Romani, perhaps for positive PR or to remove himself from being associated with Asif Munaf, has replaced Munaf. So if we go to the latest version of the website, he's no longer there. However, even this version is another version that he's updated in the last 24 hours. An earlier version, which was captured yesterday, and is still too soon for the internet to capture it, but we've captured it, is of the following. So yesterday, on the 16th of January, he had Coach Nazir, as you can see on the bottom right corner here, Coach Nazir. And also he had Sheikh Yusuf Sassoon. Sheikh Yusuf and Coach Nazir were featured as team members on this website. Okay, so we reached out to Coach Nazir to notify him that he was featured as a team member under Nikahgram, and he responded to us directly. Now, before anybody gets any ideas, Coach Nazir actually has his own service, his own polygyny service. He's a polygynous Muslim man, and he is very transparent. He doesn't scam his client base. He works with his wives. They're visible on camera. They're very transparent. His family life is transparent, and he has good standing in the community. Romani has used him because part of the project, a part of the deliverable of the website is polygyny. So let's go back to the website actually. Part of his offering is polygyny. It's actually after virginity is polygyny. So virginity is the lead sales magnet, and then polygyny. All right. We don't know Romani to be polygynous. We don't know anything about his private marital life. He doesn't share anything about his wife or his wives, supposedly. So to boost his reputation and to make himself more credible in the field of polygyny, he has placed a public figure who is an authority in this field and a reference for Muslims looking for polygynous relationships. He's placed him under his team. Subhanallah. This was on the 16th of January, yesterday. So we reached out to Coach Nazir, and he responded as follows. So, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. So one of our Shura members reached out to the coach and informed him of the fact that he was actually featured on the website as one of the coaches. And he responds as follows. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum. Hope you're well. Getting in touch due to recent info about Nikahgram and the controversy surrounding its founders and practices on a secular and most importantly Islamic level. One of the founders has been recently stripped of his medical qualifications. The other has current accusations surrounding the legitimacy of his counseling qualifications. Polygyny is not the issue, but the practices Nikahgram implements are prompting concubinage predicated on red pill ideology. Please see the video below. I've been following your services for years and would hate for you all to be dragged down with Nikahgram. You are now listed on their website as part of the team. Are you aware of this? And are you aware of the above mentioned issue? And with that, our Shura Council member puts a link to our recent video published only 2 days ago. So the response from Coach Nazir is as follows. Wa alaykum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Thank you for reaching out and for the concern. No, we are not part of their team, and we were not aware that we were listed as such on their website. We have never agreed to promote their services or vouch for them in any capacity. They did reach out previously to request permission to use short clips of our content and to tag us when doing so, which we approved strictly for content reuse only. That permission did not include endorsement, partnership, promotion, or affiliation of any kind. We do not know them personally and cannot vouch for their founders, qualifications, or practices. As such, we do not promote their services. We are now aware that our information has been listed inaccurately and will be reaching out to request immediate removal. Jazakallahu khair for bringing this to our attention. Now, the reason why he addresses himself as we and us and our is because Coach Nazir works with his wives, with his 2 wives. And so it's a family business. And as I said before, they're very transparent. So they are responding as a business and as a family, affirming the fact that they were not aware Romani was listing them or their services as partners or team members. It's very, very deceptive. So he took no permission. He simply just pasted somebody's face there and is presenting himself and his business as being experts in polygyny, when in fact is pure plagiarism and deception. So following that, Romani then updates his website. So currently, the removal request has been successful, and it was very quick, by the way. So the current version of Nikahgram, if you go back to the team, as you can see here, he's removed Coach Nazir, and instead he's placed a placeholder filler, basically, of himself with various lectures. However, he maintains the picture of Sheikh Yusuf As-Susi. So again, our Shura members reached out to Sheikh Susi and informed him of what was happening on Nikahgram. I will play the audio response so you can hear it for yourselves. So this is Sheikh Susi responding to the request we've made. So,
Jazakallah khair for reaching out. Wallahi, I know nothing about them. Absolutely nothing. Zilch nada about them. The brother shared some of my content a while back, and he reached out to me. He'll tag me on certain things, and I'm quite ignorant as to how Instagram actually works and operates and functions in terms of its options and capabilities and what it has to offer as a platform. But no, I'm not aware of that at all. This is new for me. So I will look into the video that you sent me, inshallah ta'ala. This is, I mean, if what you're, and I obviously I know nothing about you either, in all fairness. So I know nothing about you and I know nothing about them. So he tagged me once in a collaboration. I don't even know how that works, by the way, but I will look into it. In terms of them posting me as one of their, yeah, that's kind of shady. Your public picture as part of the team along with your services under a deliberately hidden fine print text. Are you? No, I'm not aware of this at all. And the issues that you mentioned, I'm not aware of them at all. No. The account doesn't come with a name. It seems to me that they were just promoting traditional Islam. And I do agree with you. Yes, if what you're telling me is true, it's quite problematic, and yeah, one should pay attention to that. And no, like I said, I don't know much about them. I haven't done any events with them. I haven't done any speaking promotions, any speaking engagements with them. It was just very basic, general collaborations on Instagram, you know, sharing a post here, taking parts of my videos here and there, but that's about it. Allah yabarak for the reach out. Okay, assalamu alaikum.
So there we have a direct and very clear declaration that two of the supposed team members had absolutely no idea they were being listed as team members on that website. Clear deception, as you can see, because currently he's still on the website under the team. So it's very clear deception right there. Romani has no shame and absolutely no hesitation in deceiving not only his own supposed team and collaborators. These are people who he would send requests for his short clips and then use them as actually supposed members of his team, not notifying them of this at all. So again, misrepresentation, mismarketing, and clear misdirection. He has also created another illusion that recommended programs. So to bolster up his supposed team of professionals, he has featured other websites and other coaches as part of his, you could say, what you would expect to be an extended team artwork, a network. But in reality, it's only one person behind his operation, and it's him. It's Romani. So among those who he has listed here, Coach Nazir, Sheikh Yusuf, and also Ustad Abdullah Odoro. So if you click on his link, he's a recognizable face, mashallah, and he is a very well respected and esteemed figure in the Muslim, online Muslim space, especially when it comes to masculinity, manhood, leadership, and coaching. So Romani, again, because he's a leech, he's leeching off somebody else's reputation and hard work in order to bolster up his own website. Okay, so what he has done here is, again, he's connecting himself to somebody who has no idea that he's doing this. We know that because we've also reached out to Sheikh Abdullah Adoro, and he has responded as follows. We're going to zoom in. So this was a direct mail a few hours ago. Assalamu alaikum. I was looking at Nicogram to see what their website was about, and I found your mastermind or masterman program being advertised in it. So again, the masterman on the website. Are you part of the team? Now, this is a very good question to ask because he's actually on the team's page. So Sheikh Abdullah says, wa alaikum salam. Nope. Okay, interesting. You're not the only coach mentioned in their team's page. Sheikh Abdullah says, we will make a video about it. So again, another person listed on the website who absolutely has no idea that he's on the website as part of the team. The entire page is a fraud, basically. He's deceiving people, and he has a very faint disclaimer which would hardly be noticed if you're scanning through the page and looking at the pictures as one would normally do and seeing the names. You would hardly notice this very faint disclaimer, not directly affiliated with Nicogram. So everything below his own personal profile, nobody else is part of the Nicogram family, but he gives the impression that they are. This is very, very deceptive behavior. Very deceptive behavior. And I would expect this image to be removed very soon as well. Okay, so I would expect the next iteration of this website to exclude the face of this sheikh who has nothing to do with this operation whatsoever. So now, if we go back to the comparison side to side, in fact, before we do that, let's go back to the time machine, because the original Teams page had two people on it, Romani and his business partner, Dr. Asif Munaf, who is again now a persona non grata. So he's not a person that would perhaps be a good PR for the website, which is why Romani removed him, or perhaps he resigned, but he's no longer part of this. And Romani is scrambling now to find other people to fill the space with. Unfortunately for him, we caught him in the act of falsifying the information and creating a fake team. This is a one-man operation. It is Romani and Romani alone. It's a one-man operation. It's Romani and Romani alone. And unfortunately, Romani, we're going to go onto his YouTube channel again. Let's go to the Nicogram channel. He has this very deceptive marketing strategy whereby he will use videos and clips of various other people on his channel with his logo, giving the impression that they all are part of the Nicogram family. So you have various figures here, Naima Roberts, Ustaz Mufti, Munir, various other figures, Abdullah Odoro, Brother Ibrahim from IFG, Ali Da'wa. We have various figures here, Tim Humble, Abdurrahman Hassan, Abu Ibrahim al-Husnain, I believe his name. Right? So you have various people here who are being featured on his basically promotion clips. Sheikh Asim al-Hakim. So these people, if we take the previous exchange on his teams as a premise and a principle, we could assume that most of these people are not aware that they are being used as cannon fodder. They are being used as marketing material for Nikahgram. They're not aware of this. Unfortunately, he's presenting a certain image that would make the person think that all of these people are part of his operation, which is not the case at all. So it's very deceptive business practice. And as the Prophet ﷺ said, "Man ghashana falaysa minna, man ghashana falaysa minna." Whoever deceives us in business is not from amongst us. In other words, they're not the best from amongst us. So this is a very deceptive business practice. Khalid Green, right? He's using everybody else's content and sprinkling in once in a while his own content, and of course that of Dr. Asif Munaf. Dr. Asif Munaf, who actually advocates Muslim men to marry non-Muslim women, Christian 𝗡𝗞𝗞𝗞𝗔𝗠 women, because Muslim women are deranged. I mean, let's listen to the man himself speak.
One thing I've noticed, because of colonization, the Muslims in the West, or especially the women, are more prone to get neurotic, jealous tendencies with borderline personality disorder, more addiction problems, a greater obesity. This is all epigenetics. So I always advise brothers to marry reverts or marry from back home where women are not traumatized from the migration. And thirdly, marry people of the book, 𝗡𝗜𝗞𝗞𝗞𝗔𝗠, especially Christians from countries like Latin America, the Mediterranean. These are much better options for brothers. That's why we've got our platinum program from Nikahgram that helps brothers get matched appropriately, quickly, and in a Sharia compliant way. Assalamu alaikum.
So we're going to explore that platinum program, but again, he makes it very clear he's part of the program. He is part of Nikahgram. Okay, so this is evidence he's part of Nikahgram, at least when this was published. So the actual business partner is Dr. Asif Munaf, who right now is a persona non grata. So let's look at, he's been struck off the GMC and is basically being, at the moment, really is not somebody who is popular in the media. So this is the current view of his team. And again, as you said, everything below his own personal biography and his own image, everything below that is fraudulent, is fake. These are not people who work with him. They're not even aware that he's done this. And he's using their service, their brand, their capital, their name, their reputation in order to present the illusion that Nikahgram is actually being run by a team of professional coaches, when in reality it's only Gabriel Al-Romani running it himself. I think that's really interesting here is that, again, under the section where he does make a very faint and very, very clearly deceptive disclosure, you can hardly see that text, is very, very faint. If you click, you will find it makes it very clear, not directly affiliated with Nikahgram. And then in the terms and conditions, he makes a further statement, hidden in the terms and conditions: we do not endorse or verify the content, practices, or accuracy of third-party websites. So in essence, none of these have been vetted or verified or even approved of by the Nikahgram team, which is another layer of deception. So you are promoting programs and people who you have not vetted, who you cannot condone their content, and who you haven't verified. Again, this is very bad business practice. There's no due diligence whatsoever here. But it's hidden in the terms and conditions. Again, hidden in the terms and conditions where nobody will actually find it. Another feature of the website which is very fraudulent is that the so-called reviews are all fake reviews. So let's go in and have a look at the website again. As featured in, you have the Telegraph, you have GB News, you have Ground News, you have various online platforms. These are all Western media. And the reason why he's featured on these websites and news platforms is because of the negative press that Dr. Asif Munaf and also the app has received in recent times. So these are not featured because it's a service that's reputable. They are featured because it's a bad service. Okay, but as we know, there's no such thing as bad publicity. all publicity is good publicity. So he's taken that literally and using it to gain the confidence of his client base. In reality, all of these outlets have actually exposed 𝗡𝗤𝗞𝗞𝗔𝗠 for being a bad service provider and a dangerous platform. So it's not endorsement, actually, they're calling him out. Then you have supposed reviews, which again, they look like Google reviews, right? But you cannot click on any of them. They don't exist, okay? These are all fake because 𝗡𝗤𝗞𝗞𝗔𝗠 is not an app. It's just Telegram and Instagram. It's not an app. So these app reviews are fake, okay? And there is no section that can be clicked. There is no section on the website itself where you can leave feedback. So these are all fake. In the same way his team is fake, the reviews are fake. The features are fake. What else is fake? We're going to find out very soon. So the first thing to keep in mind is the lead magnet is virginity here. Okay, that's the lead magnet. And this is what the business is predicated upon. However, if we go to the FAQ, because we need to know how is it possible for 𝗡𝗤𝗞𝗞𝗔𝗠 to determine who is a virgin, who is not a virgin. How do they confirm that? Because it's a very, very really interesting proposal to provide, that you would actually give virgins, or you provide virgin brides. So in the Q&A we have a question: what do you consider a virgin for this service? Is a past acceptable? In other words, to have had past sexual interaction either through a legitimate marriage or otherwise. It's a very good question, so we're going to zoom in and we're going to read the answer given here. So a complete virgin means your private areas have never been intimately sexually touched by anyone else, nor have you intimately sexually touched anyone else's private parts. This includes any form of sexual intercourse. If you decide to register as a virgin, now this, by the way, is only it only addresses women, okay? Because Gabriel Romani has admitted that men do not have virginity. It doesn't apply to men.
Centuries, throughout different cultures, always been agreed that there is value in a female virginity and not so much in a male's virginity, because there's no male virginity. Men don't have virginity.
So this is explicitly only for Muslim women. So if a Muslim woman is to register as a virgin on this platform, she must swear by Allah that she's telling the truth about being a complete virgin, as described above. So this is where a woman will have to essentially disclose whether or not she has touched somebody else's genitalia, or her genitalia has been touched. I mean, this is very crude, pervasive, humiliating process to go through just to be registered on a website. Okay, so, and marketed as meat, as we're going to find out later on. He has what he calls platinum service women. So it sounds a lot like something else, if you ask me, but that's the website for you. So you would have to basically swear an oath by Allah that you have neither touched or been touched sexually in your private parts. Again, this is what is on the website. And so this oath is what guarantees for the male clients the virginity of the female prospects. That's it. That's it. Okay, that's how he guarantees that this website has virgins. Now, what if a woman decides to pretend to be a virgin and signs a disclaimer and gives an oath? You could potentially be marrying a woman who's still not a virgin, because 𝗡𝗤𝗞𝗞𝗔𝗠 does not guarantee virginity. It just places an oath that can or cannot be potentially taken as factual. He goes on to mention, because it's a one-person website at this point, that it's a definitive nikah service for those rare Muslims who still value a shy, untouched spouse, and those who support polygyny. Okay, so I don't know what's rare about this. I think not just Muslim, anyone of faith does value chastity and sexual discipline. It's not just a rare Muslim, it's not a minority of Muslims, as if to say most Muslims are basically accepting of degeneracy. It's a very bold claim to make. Furthermore, he mentions that non-conventional nikah and reverse are welcome too. So again, the reason why he says welcome too is because reverse typically are considered to have had a past sexually. So they generally would not meet the standard of a complete virgin. However, they are welcome too. They're good for something, and that's non-conventional nikah. For short-term, non-committal, you could say exploitative relationships, a revert is good for that. So they're welcome for those sorts of relationships, and we're going to explore that again. So again, from the very get-go, the website is very disturbing in what it promises, and also the sort of thing that essentially is marketing. You know, it's commodifying a woman's virginity. It's commodifying a woman's sexual, you could say, status. This is the lead sales magnet on this website. They're selling virginity. They're selling virginity. If you are a Muslim woman who wants to publicize her virginity and her sexual, you could say, history online, then this is your website. This is a website for you. And you are a lead magnet. You are a sales magnet. He provides free access to virgins. And those women who may not be virgin but may still be open to polygyny, you have free access to the website. You can list your profile for free as bait, basically. So there are other men or men who want either a virgin for a first wife or to have multiple wives, in which case it doesn't matter if you're a virgin or not, because you're a second-class wife or a third-class wife, a disposable wife. So those who are not virgins can still apply to be second, third, or fourth wives. They can be polygynous partners. They won't be pedestalized, but they'll be second, third, and fourth in the option, while the man reserves the primary place for his virgin, untouched bride. Okay. He also mentions that there are hundreds of profiles from 80 plus different backgrounds, okay, worldwide. Now, it's important to mention this because there are overwhelmingly a lot more profiles from the third world, what we call the third world, okay, outside of the West. And this is something that has, of course, been highlighted. This has been highlighted by some of the questions that are posed on the website. Going to the finer detail, we find that the virgin has to be under the age of 35. Under the age of 35. There is a cutoff age of 35. So previously no relationships, no touch, no intercourse of any type, and a virgin, a complete virgin, under the age of 35. So there is a specific typecast that he has here, and this is what he will later describe as his platinum level women. Platinum level women. Again, there is a name for this sort of service. It's called escorting, quite frankly, where you commodify a woman's sexuality and you put them on a certain tier, a certain level, based on how much the man is willing to pay for that woman. So women who subscribe to this website and this platform are literally being indexed on this, you could say, this order list in terms of where they fall in based on their sexual history and sexual disposition. So really, I'm surprised any woman would want to be on this platform to begin with, or have any of their relatives on this platform to begin with. Polygyny, of course, open to all ages, regardless of marital status. That's quite interesting, because a Muslim woman can only be married if she has no other husband. So if she has no husband, she can only be on the marriage scene looking for a spouse if she is not married at the moment. It's a very bad choice of words, because a Muslim woman who's married cannot be married unless what he means is she's a divorcee. So if she's a divorcee, she's welcome. She's over 35, she's welcome. Any background and location. So for the polygyny side of things, the second tier, anyone can apply, because those sisters are disposable essentially. So it doesn't matter if you are a divorcee, a widow, a single mother, you've had 10 husbands before. It doesn't matter, because the men on this platform only want you for one thing, and that's not a long-term relationship. That is what falls under the category of non-conventional nikah that's being marketed on this platform here. Reverts below the age of 35, and such kitabiyat women, so this is Christian Jewish women practicing chaste, are also welcome, another tier. So these are women who basically are European women, okay? European women or women from the South American continent who by and large are culturally Christian or Jewish. They are an option also available, okay, for these men to have non-conventional relationships with. This essentially is concubinage, okay? They are reviving the tradition of concubines in the modern age. The wife will be the primary option, this virgin, untouched woman under 35. That's the full wife, that's a wife you claim. But all the other short-term unconventional relationships is for the religionless woman, the one who's been divorced, who's a widow, who's a single mother, who's over 35, or the revert woman, who you would assume has a past anyway, and also the 𝗡𝗜𝗞𝗞𝗞𝗔𝗛, the non-Muslim Christian or Jewish woman. Okay, and then at the very bottom of the totem pole, he has the neglected sisters. These are the leftovers. These are the women nobody wants. These are the widows, the disabled sisters, majorly disabled sisters, and the orphans, here defined as being women who have neither mother or father. These are the most vulnerable members of society. Widows, disabled, majorly disabled women, so we're probably assuming mentally disabled, physically disabled, mentally unstable or physically incapacitated, and women with no family ties. And these women are actually, again, part of the cells structure here. So the very heart of this is for the virgin only. So it's free for these women. So if you fall under any of these 5 categories, it's completely free for you. Now you could imagine the 𝗡𝗜𝗞𝗞𝗏, the revert, the neglected women, the disabled women, the orphaned women with no family ties. They are easily manipulated. On a website such as this one here, they are easily manipulated. And in fact, he even offers a free wali service if necessary. This is very predatory. It's very disturbing, especially on a website that's not regulated by any oversight, any bodies, any scholarly committees. It's very dangerous that such women are being basically platformed and marketed for men who just want short-term engagement and what he considers, what he described as non-conventional marriages. What he describes as non-conventional marriages. So this is the cell structure, and the very epitome, the very heart of it is the virgin under the age of 35, which will be the wife material. Everything else below that, this is short-term, basically sex marriages. Okay, so why is it that these 80 countries are being listed? Well, the reason is very simple. In the Q&A section, some users have said, why are mostly South Asians or West Africans on your platform? Because he's targeting certain areas in the world where there are perhaps economically deprived demographics. And so if you are, as a man, looking for a woman in the West, if you live in the West and you want to look for a woman in the West for short-term relationships, be aware that most of these profiles are actually in West Africa or in the Southeastern Asian regions. So the large population of Muslims in those regions are disproportionately represented on this app. So if you're looking for someone to perhaps marry short-term and perhaps on a casual basis in the West, your chances are slim, because the majority of people on this platform, if they're not bots and fake accounts, are actually in economically impoverished zones overseas anyway. So they'll be inaccessible for the most part for these men. So the entire proposition already is fraudulent to begin with. But we'll go into the subscription tier. So how much does it cost for a man to find a wife on this platform? How much will it cost for this man to find a wife on this platform? We're going to go through the different tiers and membership tariffs. The standard tier is $29.99 a month, or £200 as a one-off payment. And for this, you get unlimited instant match requests. You get to send messages. You receive unrestricted profiles. You get to see pictures. You respond to instant matches. And you also provide a reference for yourself. So this is something that is the base level subscription base, £30 a month. However, there is a premium service, and this is where you pay £80 every 3 months, or £300 per as a lifetime member, basically. So what does this offer? Well, you get to get everything that's already in the standard package, but however, you can request unavailable profiles. So these are profiles that are no longer active. People who no longer sign into the These are people who are no longer active or no longer looking, but their profile is still available on the Telegram or on the WhatsApp group, on the Telegram, on the Telegram or on the Instagram page. So presumably, if you subscribe to this as a woman, your profile remains there and can be accessed by potentially future members in the future. Even if you no longer actively want to be a part of this, those profiles can be unlocked. Okay, so keep that in mind. And your details, your history is there for anyone to unlock if they pay enough. If they pay for the premium, they can unlock those accounts. You can also subscribe without references. This is very dangerous. So for the premium subscriber, they are no longer required to disclose references, either for the male or the female. This is basically stealth mode. So an unscrupulous man can subscribe for the premium package and not have to pay and not have to disclose any references whatsoever, which makes it a lot easier to predate and to basically act out of character if nobody gets to know or has any reference to who you are or anyone who knows you. I would find this very disturbing on any other platform, but I find it completely befitting on this platform because it's not principled and it's not moderated. So the fact that he actually monetizes on not providing references is in itself enabling and encouraging men to basically seek second, third, and fourth marriages and alternative nikah without being held accountable and with no references being made, no reference checks. So again, it's very clear that this is enforcing and endorsing, cultivating a certain mindset in those men. And then eventually you have the lifetime VIP, where you pay £500 for basically unlimited, including premium tier benefits, okay, which includes what he calls the platinum tier women. So it's quite lucrative if you think about it. And it explains why he makes so many videos, online denigrating Muslim women, because he can then push his viewership onto his platform where he offers them pure women. So the solution to the problem he's creating online is his service, and it's quite lucrative. If you look at it, £30 a month, £80 every 3 months, or £500 as a one-off payment for these services. So we're going to go through the frequently asked questions section to look at a few of the queries submitted here. The first thing is, he does not, and I refer to him as a he because there's no team here. He mentions the team, but there's no team. It's just him. Okay, very disingenuous here, because as part of the package provided is unlimited instant match requests. Now the assumption here would be that you would have access to as many profiles as you want, unlimited, and that you would have support from the Nikahgram team. But if you go to the Q&A section and you dig a bit deeper in the details, he makes it very clear that the team does not get involved in matchmaking. So the team does not get involved in matchmaking. Furthermore, they do not share pictures or messages. So basically you subscribe to this service and you are left to your own devices. If you pay enough, you don't have to disclose any reference whatsoever. You're left to your own device. So for women who actually think that having their profile on this platform is going to be somehow managed and monitored, and someone's going to be behind the scenes from the admin looking after things, it's very clear here. It doesn't work that way. The team does not get involved at all in the process, and they don't share pictures or pass messages. So basically you are left to manage yourself, and also your profile is on there, it's open to others. If they pay enough, they can go under stealth and not be, basically there's no reference necessary for them. It's very, very shady business practice. So this unlimited match in reality is a deception, because they're not involved in matching. There's no matchmaking there, and your messages and pictures are not passed on by the team. So it's left to you basically to do all the hard work. However, there is also an additional premium to that, which I'll get into later, because for each individual, you could say, match request, there's an additional fee of £2. So on top of the £30, you're paying per request you make another £2, another £2, another £2, which is not disclosed at this level here. They don't disclose much anyway, because it's clearly a very, very deceptive business model to begin with. He then mentions that it's better than the competition. So what's the competition here? I mean, are there any other Muslim matrimonial services providing virgin and polygyny as a unique selling point? No, but there is something very close to that, and that is the no-string nikah business that Mahdi Tijani created a few years ago. This is competition for Al-Romani's Nikahgram, and it works in a similar way in that it focuses on women who are highly susceptible to being manipulated and who are generally considered low value. Okay, women who are only good for second, third, or fourth marriages, hotel marriages, short-term marriages, or as Tijani says, no string nikah. No string nikah means basically misyar marriage with no commitment whatsoever to that woman. It's quite interesting here. The image shows a woman with a very visible tattoo on her right arm and more tattoos on her left fingers. Presumably she's a revert Muslim with a past, and again the prime candidate for these sorts of marriages, because they consider these women to be less than and disposable wives. So very befitting image here, actually, very befitting image. And this would be the ideal candidate for men on these sorts of platforms, no string nikah or on the Nikahgram app. Okay, so these are the women who they would be marketing for their client base to basically abuse and take advantage of, and then to discard when it's no longer beneficial, no longer convenient to discard of these women. So it's better than competition. Now, when you go into the premium tier, as I said before, you can request unavailable profiles, and these are profiles that are not been active for a while, or people who are no longer active. However, you can still message them. This in reality is basically these unavailable profiles for the vast majority will be bots. Okay, and it's not uncommon for matchmaking sites and apps to have many bot accounts. It's a way of maintaining a certain facade that the website is active, it has many prospects, but in reality it is all fake. Okay, so it's all fake. These are all bots and AI. So as we have seen in his team page, everybody else is fake. They're not actually real team members. We can assume that the same applies to his supposed profile accounts. Most of these people probably don't even know that they're being listed there or still being listed there, and their details are being marketed for basically subscription fees that he pockets. Of course, we then go into the lifestyle disclaimer. So if we look at the process and features, so how does it work? He mentions that he has a specialized virginity and polygyny service. A specialized virginity service. I've never come across such a service before, at least not in a Muslim matrimonial market. So he is kind of groundbreaking in this field, but there is no way to verify virginity. Unfortunately, for him, there's no way to verify that. However, he's going off, as I mentioned before, the oath that a woman has to make, that she's a virgin. It's a voluntary oath. It's not actually verifiable, and there's nothing that can guarantee that if you are a man looking for a virgin bride, that this website can deliver on that. Okay, so the specialism is misplaced, and as a polygyny service, again, he has used the likeliness and the brand of another person's service to bolster up his own service. There's a lot of deception happening here. So the process is simple, as outlined on the website. You will pay to begin with. You always pay first, right? You pay first. Once you've actually paid your subscription, you fill in the form and your details. You then get an email automation on Google Mail, and that's it. You basically get to put your own profile on the Telegram app or on the Instagram app, and you scroll through the database. Okay, so this is for you to scroll through now. You receive emails. It's so unprofessional that it's not even an app. An app would have this inbuilt. However, with this, you do a lot of the work yourself. You have to go onto Telegram, you have to scroll through your emails. There's a lot of manual work being done here. And again, you're not sure whether these actually are real profiles or not. Okay, so as we've also seen earlier on, the admin does not get involved in passing messages across or sending pictures. So you're doing this by yourself on Telegram. Then you have a public access database. So this is actually accessible to anyone who has Telegram, whether you're paying or not paying. You can go through the Telegram page and look at all the different profiles. Okay, you don't have to be a paying member. which means your profiles are public. Anyone can go through and have a look. Okay, so this is again something that will remain on their profile on their database, and it's accessible to anyone, quite frankly. So if you're a woman who has her virginity status on this app, you might want to reconsider that choice again. All right, so in the finer detail, we then get to the point to where we understand how his pricing increases. So although you pay £30 on the basic package per month, there is also a £2 per profile and user request. £2 per user request that you have to pay on top of the basic £30. So the assumption you got by looking at the actual website was that you get an unlimited amount of requests, but in reality, you have to pay £2 per profile request. So if you were to look at 5 profiles a month, you're paying an additional £10 a month for that service. He then mentions that this can, the messages on top of the request, the messages also are for £2. So on top of the actual request itself, they will also charge you for the actual messages, right? So the instant matching messages, another £2. So there are various add-ons that are not disclosed at the time of signing on. Various add-ons. Okay, so you could end up paying £50 a month, £50 a month, even more than that, depending on how many requests you make, how many messages you send, and how many matches you receive. So again, this is not disclosed at all on the front page. It's hidden in the terms and conditions. Again, another very deceptive practice. So let's look at the terms and conditions for a bit more of this. Now, in terms of legal declarations, this was updated on July the 11th, 2025. Under no circumstance shall any Nicogram team member, affiliate, or back-end provider be liable for any direct, indirect, special, incidental, or consequential damages, including but not limited to loss of data or profit arising out of the use or the inability to use the materials on this site, even if Nicogram team or even if the Nicogram team or an authorized representative has been advised of the possibility of such damages. If your use of materials from this site results in the need for servicing, repair, or correction of equipment of data, you assume any cost thereof. So this is a very clear disclaimer that under no circumstance is Nicogram going to take any responsibility if things go terribly wrong. Whether you lose your data, whether you lose your money, whether you're unable to use the app anymore, Nicogram is not responsible whatsoever for what happens. It's a very, very clear disclaimer, but it's again hidden in the legal declarations. In the subtext of the website, you have to dig for this sort of information. So there is no way, if things go wrong with Nicogram, that you will be able to sue them or make them accountable for what they're doing. It's a very, very really disturbing detail here, but it's been disclosed in the terms and conditions. It's also important to know that if you were to subscribe to the monthly subscription or to the quarterly subscription, you would have to send a form for your cancellation to be processed. You cannot simply log into an app and cancel a direct debit. You have to request a form, fill the form, and that form to be approved manually. So that is to say, if for whatever reason you are unable to send a form request, or there is no one available to process your form request, your subscription will remain active until such a time when it is possible for them to cancel your subscription. But according to these terms, that's your responsibility. That is your responsibility, because the inability to use this site is not their responsibility, it's your responsibility. So you're tying yourself in for something that is unreliable and unpredictable. So now we move on to the pyramid. Gabriel Romani, in the same way Andrew Tate built an empire based on women, the commodification of women, femininity, and the sexual appeal of women, Al-Romani has created a hierarchy and a marketplace where he has women in a certain order based on their sexuality, their virginity, and their age profile. So he is essentially commodifying the virginity of women. And he has in his platinum service program, he has an elite level of women who he will market directly to his elite level of men. And this comes under the title of nikah maxing. So on the website, nikah maxing, which is actually a poor adaptation, a very poor and unimaginative adaptation of red pill speak. Romani oftentimes says he's not red pill, but it's very clear from his choice of words and how he speaks and what he speaks of that he's certainly a red pill. And it's very clear here that he's using red pill terminology. Looks maxing, he's made it nikah maxing. What is nikah maxing? Well, let's have a look. Nikah maxing is a pyramid. A pyramid. And if you were to join this pyramid, you would avoid the sunken pit of bad options. Who are the sunken pit of bad options? Divorced women, single mothers, women who are not virgins, so on and so forth. And so for you to reach the very top of this very, very limited and very exclusive set of women, join his nikah maxing camp or organization, and he will introduce you to these platinum level women. Okay, platinum level women. So it's an elite network of nikah maxing brothers. This is pretty much the Andrew Tate University, his university, real world university. It's an elite room of 6-figure, 7-figure men who have an elite lifestyle, attract women, and have expensive cars and expensive portfolios. So he's used Islam or the nikah industry to create his own elite group of men, high value men for high value women. So the elite network of nikah maxing brothers, they are hand-picked and filtered by presumably Romani himself. Then he mentions this platinum level woman. So essentially how this is working is he offers a free entry for certain women by priority of how old they are and their virginity status. Women who are under the age of 35, never married, who are virgins, are platinum level women. So these are the women who he will use as the higher end tickets in his marketing scheme. So, and this is not from my words, these are his words. Again, in the question and answer section, it mentions the marriage market. What is the marriage market? And so he mentions the marriage market is the traditional market of intimate relationships. Now, there's nothing traditional about this. Traditionally, we never mention marriage markets. We don't sell women here. Our tradition does not tell us about selling women or their private parts. So it's not traditional. It's actually a red pill concept that was made popular by Rollo Tomassi. It's a modernist attempt to commodify relationships, especially women's bodies. So it's not traditional at all. So it's a market. In the same way you have a market for livestock, cattle, commodities, it's a market for women. So between men and women, there is an implied marriage market. The demand is from the men and the supply is from the women. So of course, because this platform is only for men, it's a platform for men who want to buy the virginity of women. It's a platform for men who want to buy second and third class women for non-conventional nikah. It's only for men. It's a platform for men who want to buy women and to have their way with these women. And the women are the supply, on the supply end. They are on the supply end. So for the women who think that this platform is for them to find a good husband, you are actually on the menu. You are on the menu. You're not the actual person looking at them. You are on the menu. You're on the table as the actual meal that they're going to be devouring. So you are not a prize in terms of looking for a husband. You are the product that is being commodified by Romani and is being put online for elite men to pick from. So he mentions and he highlights as a human reality. The same human reality that 5 years ago he was denouncing, he's now emphasizing is a human reality. For example, and I was going to give us an example, a terrible one at that. Purchasers don't want low quality products for a high price. This low quality product is supposedly women who are not virgins, who are over 35, who have children, who have been divorced or been widowed. They are low quality products. So he's given an example here that purchasers, in other words men, don't want low quality products for a high price. They would spend less on that. So, for example, if you are divorced, as I mentioned before, these low-quality women he presumably is speaking about, they deserve less financial commitment and maybe buy multiple low-quality. Subhanallah. This is where the polygyny comes into it. So if you are not a virgin under 35, you're automatically low quality. And so if you are low quality, men should spend less on you. You should have a McDonald's burger as a mahar, for example. Or you should be only seen in the hotel room when the man needs you. And maybe he should even buy multiple of you, 2 or 3 wives of low quality, because you are disposable. This is where the polygyny comes into his proposal. So he has virginity and polygyny. Virginity is for the high quality woman, and the polygyny is for the low quality woman who should have less financial commitments and is easily disposable of. So this man can purchase 3 or 4 or 5 and rotate them and divorce and marry and divorce and marry because they're low quality. Accordingly, sellers know that they can either offer the above or provide a high quality product at a high price. In other words, these women who are on the supply end, they should know that they can only be second, third, and fourth options, and that they don't merit a high price for their dowry or financial commitments. So they should be willing to accept that they are low quality and therefore bottom tier fodder for these men to pick and discard as and when they wish. This is so disgusting. This is so disgusting. This is so filthy and infuriating. This is unbelievable. These are Muslim women who he is marketing as literally commodities that are low quality because they've been divorced or have children. So the man exists for both, but unless price is high and quality is low. It's the same in marriage. So now he's going to use that example to put it in the marital context. A high quality woman, you'll find high quality offerings who will not take polygyny. So if you are a virgin, if you are under 35, then you are good for a man who wants to be monogamous. He will not want to marry other women. But if you are the opposite, then the opposite is true. You should expect to be a second, third, and fourth wife. You are low quality. Okay? So this is a problem with this sort of business model, the commodification of women. These platinum level women are the 35 and under virgin women who may be signing on thinking that they're going to look for a husband, not realizing that they are being literally curated, right, as a catalog for certain men on this program. You're being packaged as a product in the actual catalog of men who want to buy and acquire your virginity. It's very disgusting. Global reach. So they will help you reach women in hard to reach regions, South America, Eastern Europe. The reality is, again, going by the Q&A, most profiles are Asian and African, mostly West Africa and Southeast Asia. Most profiles of those demographics. Impoverished, economically more impoverished regions that are hard to reach. That's the reality of it. Okay, so they are talking to you about South American and Mediterranean women, but in reality, that's not what you're getting. So there are major red flags of this website. The virginity aspect is very, very, very shady. As a woman, you would have to take an oath, literally, a very, very humiliating process you have to go through. But as a man, there's no guarantee that these oaths are actually first and foremost from real Muslim women, and secondly that they are veritable. There's no way to verify this. Nikah cannot verify for you, certify for you that this actually is a virgin. So you're still gambling, quite frankly. You're taking a risk and you don't know what you're going to get at the end of the day. The second thing is there's no verification once you go beyond the standard tier. So a man who doesn't want to be identifiable and doesn't want to have a reference check can simply opt for the higher tier. Same with a woman. And there is no verification whatsoever, which means there is no moderation whatsoever, and there is no admin involvement. This has already been very clearly identified in the finer details. The admin is not involved in sending messages or sending solicitations. You are left to your own devices. And finally, there are random walis or guardians assigned to the most vulnerable. So if you are a revert, if you're an orphan, if you're a highly disabled, then they can assign to you a guardian. This guardian can be anyone. We don't know who they are. There's no list of guardians on the website. It's completely. So for the women who want to sign up to this program, really consider that, because it's a very, very dangerous proposal to take on. Actually, you don't know where this information is going. You don't know where the information is going. You don't know who is behind these profiles. You don't know where it's going to lead to, actually. So that's an overview of the website. There is a lot more to it. However, it is important as a community that we use our resource and we use information wisely. The website itself is still operating. The operation is still online, and 𝗡𝗜𝗞𝗞𝗔𝗠 is still making videos. It is important as a community that we safeguard the interests of those who are most vulnerable, whether they are younger women who have just converted to Islam, whether they are disabled women, whether they are single mothers, widows, and women who are perhaps more susceptible to being manipulated online, whether it is young Muslim men who are engaging in this app, looking for short-term flings, that's what it is really, or married Muslim men who are also going on stealth mode to look for women who are vulnerable. It is important to spread information far and wide that this platform is very dangerous, this individual is very dangerous, and we have to spread awareness. So you can do so in the following ways. At the moment, you can actually join our forum. We're looking for 1,000 humanitarians, 1,000 people to join the forum on Telegram, completely free. There's no obligation to pay or to subscribe to anything whatsoever. It's on a voluntary basis. We keep and maintain a register of online content that is considered harmful to the Muslim community, being created by Muslim content creators. And as we've done in this specific audit, we go through, where necessary, the harmful content to notify the community, and also to ensure that those behind these content creations are also put on notice. We don't need many people to participate in this, because it's actually a very, very unique effort. We don't need 1,000 people, but it would be good to get 1,000 people at some point. So now that you know what Nikahgram is all about, what are the actions that can be taken to ensure that this does not continue to operate and we do not continue to put our women and daughters at risk of being predated upon? There are 5 steps that can be taken by you, the viewer. The first step is to share this video. If you have any relatives, especially women, who are looking for marriage, share the video with them and implore that they watch the whole video. This could save their lives. This could literally save their lives. Like and comment on this video for the algorithm so we can reach a wider audience. Notify public figures. If you know that there's a public figure being promoted as a Nikahgram speaker, or they're in the clips that Nikahgram shares, notify them. Let them know that they're being used as representatives of the platform and that they're being featured as part of the coaching or the team section. They need to be notified, as we've done in the last 24 hours. Do not support the app or the platform. If you are a man considering or already having been subscribed to this platform, reconsider your options. This is literally almost an escort service, especially with the platinum women being promoted as basically a guaranteed virgin. This is literally an escort service with a halal sticker on it. No self-respecting man would pay his money and participate in this disgusting enterprise. So if you are a man or a young man who is considering or who is already on the platform, we urge you to make tawbah and to withdraw support for this platform immediately. If you know anyone else who is considering or who is currently on the app, do let them know of the dangers involved, the deception of 𝗡𝗜𝗞𝗞𝗔𝗠, and the very, very, very likelihood that they'll pay a lot more than they expected to pay once they actually signed up to the platform. Most importantly, do not sponsor this, because the more you pay towards this platform, the more videos will be pumped online towards Muslim women. Romani makes money when he pumps videos online, degrading your sisters, your daughters, your mothers, your wives, draw an audience for his app. So do not support the app in any way, shape or form. The 4th step is to speak up and to call him out. So whether you are part of his audience members, whether you attend his live sessions, his live streams, whether you watch his videos, whether you are part of his coaching call, whether you're his friend, maybe an associate, it's important that you speak out and that you call him out for this. It's important to hold those prominent figures in our community to account. So if you have any access or communication with Romani, either directly or through his media, it is important you speak out. You call him out for what he's doing, and you advise him where necessary. It's important that we begin to hold people accountable in public spaces, because when things go wrong, we all suffer. Finally, if you are supportive of the Humanity Forum and what we are doing on a voluntary basis, then you're welcome to join us and to participate in this wonderful work. We have a private community on Telegram at the Humanity Forum, and we also have a YouTube channel where we publish weekly community podcasts discovering, uncovering, and also commenting on very important matters that affect us as a Muslim community, online and in real person. These are the 5 steps you can take to actually affect positive change. As a parting, I would like to thank you for your time and consideration. We will keep you updated with further progress as and when we receive updates on this case. Gabriel